au quotidien.
Welcome. Welcome to A Voice in the Wilderness. A voice of reason. A voice of hope. A voice of gladness. I am a witness of Christ. Again, stating to the world that Zion indeed will be established, the New Jerusalem. Explaining that Jesus truly is our Redeemer, our rock, our hope, and our salvation, right? You guys know that. You're aware of that, right? That's who he is. And I am speaking to you today, as I always come to you from my wilderness, right? I wake up early in the morning and get on my morning walk and think about the things of the day, right? And thinking about my reason of why I do what I do, right? My reasons, and recharging my soul through the scriptures. And I'm often digging into my past, trying to basically find out why I do things, why I am who I am, and if things need to be changed, figuring out what needs to be changed. Introspection is crucial, right? I think we all should be taking time for that every single day. And it shouldn't be 5 or 10 minutes. You should really spend time with yourself. And I know there are some single parents out there, right, who are very busy, and all they can do is do what they're doing. And talking about finding time for yourself is, that sounds crazy. But I promise you, if you commit to yourself, you'll find that you have more time to do other things. I don't know, somehow, miraculously, your life becomes a little bit more manageable by finding that time wherever it is, even if you have to get up extremely early in the morning before the kids, right? All right, this is kind of when I wanted to start doing this. It was because of right about the time my daughter was born, Maya, and I was like, man, I want to step up my game a little bit. I really need to dig into the scriptures a little more and make sure I'm a little bit better father for her too, along with these other children, right? And I woke up early and I find out that she wasn't willing to cooperate. She was up earlier. And I'm the type where if my baby's up and the wife is up, if I'm not up, I feel a little weird unless I have an excuse where I got to just be at work. But if there's something going on, I do feel weird. And so I really want to help out. So if she's up and she needs changing or whatever, she needs to be held, I want to hold the baby. So I found that she was not very cooperative. So I was at 5 and she was up at 5. And I was like, okay. Man, 5 o'clock isn't working. So 4:30. It ended up 4:30 was my time. If I can get out of the house by 4:30 or right before 5 o'clock, I didn't feel that pressure that I needed to be around. So I can really just think on myself and think on the scriptures, right? But in my scripture study in the mornings, again, as I told you, I've been digging into my mind and my experiences of the past, and again, why I feel the way I do and why I do the things that I do and why can I break habits that I want to break, right? So trying to look at the past. And so, I guess I just wanted to discuss that. And a few of you have asked me to, I wanted to honor your desires, I guess, your wishes. Your wish is my command. You wanted me to talk a little bit about, I guess my conversion, what took place, what was going on, what led up to it, those things. Yeah, so maybe I'll just dig into that a little bit. And you have to understand that I lived it, and it didn't seem anything particular to me, right? It was just life. Things were happening. I just assumed that it was normal because it was It wasn't just happening to me. It was happening to everyone who was around me. We're all dealing with the same stuff, right? And so I just assume coming to Jesus was just a natural process for those who came to him. But people say, no, you had a little bit different experiences. So maybe I'll try and lay those out. And some of those things I know are super sacred. Man, is that an interesting way of saying that? Super sacred, whatever. They're sacred to me. And so I'm trying to pick and choose what I share. And at least with this episode, because what I'm finding is that there's plenty of people who don't believe like I believe, and I respect that. And you're listening sometimes, or I'm posting things, and people are just like, angry. I respect that. I understand that. You don't understand nor believe the way I do. That's fine. I get it. But at least in this episode, no one can combat what I'm saying, because it's my life. Things that really happen to me. I know that I'm a child of God through these experiences, right? And actually, looking back, it is peculiar. It's interesting and strange, and I would assume that it will be the same thing for you in your life too, when you look back and you see how peculiar things have fell into place for you as the tapestry of your life unfolds, right? It's a beautiful thing, and I just want to be a part of this kingdom, right? And his work that goes forward. And I'm rambling. I know it. I know I am trying to not get to this, because some of this stuff I was walking through this morning, and man, I don't know. I'm still hurting. I thought I was over some of this stuff, right? Man, there's still a little bit of pain there. So maybe I need to just talk about this a little more too. And just be real, I guess, right? Be vulnerable, as my good friend that I just met, Lisa, has told me. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's all right, Marlo, right? All right, so, but, in beginning with this, in trying to be doctrinal in all things, right? Not just rambling here, but I want to be spiritual, and I want to be doctrinally sound when I speak to you also. But Elder Neal A. Maxwell, again, you know how I like him, so I'm always quoting something from him, huh? In a April 1985 conference address entitled "Willing to Submit," he has a quote here that I love, right? I love this. Quote, "Required in particular is meekness of mind, which recognizes God's perfect love for us and his omniscience. By acknowledging these reassuring realities and accepting that God desires our full development and true happiness, we are readied even as the learning experiences come. Such meekness requires genuine intellectual honesty, owning up to the learning experiences of the past, and listening to the Holy Ghost as he preaches to us from the pulpit of memory." And so when I read that a few years ago, actually, I was like, man, that's cool. The pulpit of memory. That means I should be using my past and the things that I've seen and witnessed and been through, or things that happened to me and how I interpret it. Maybe it needs to be reinterpreted, right? And so walk with me while I go through this. And so maybe this is interesting to you, maybe not, but I tell you, as I look back, I know God lives. And because of the things that I witnessed, seen, I've been protected many of times, right? And just so you're aware, I was, going back to the beginning, right? I was born in 1978, and for me, and some of you will get this reference, right? You found some, I'm laying out how I see it, right? Some white men, some brethren in the upper room of a temple, concerned about the trends that are going on in the world, knowing that the eyes of the people are being opened and wondering about this policy, right, that they have on record that's been handed down from previous leaders, right, about priesthood. And June 1st, all of these brethren are sitting around praying and asking their God about this policy. And they all, even though some of them weren't sure that the policy should be removed, they may thought in that room, they all came to conclusion. They say they witnessed from the Spirit, right? That the God of heaven, the one that they worship, they're in his temple, they felt, right, according to them, that the time had come. Like the people and the church and the world itself was ready to understand what the Lord himself had told a prophet long ago, right? Right? Previous, right? That, yeah, all men are created equal and priesthood power should be extended to all worthy people, right? No matter who, where are they from. We're all children of God, equal, right? We all have our differing roles, but we're equal, right? So think about that. So I often think about June 1st, those brethren received that revelation, and I come, as I say, kicking and screaming on June 4th of that same year. And born to a 17-year-old mother and an 18-year-old father who already had a son who was 11 months old, right? I think that's how old he was. And that was my scenario. I'm told that he wanted to actually marry my mom, but my mom was not prepared to have that type of a conversation with my grandmother, and he felt that, there wasn't real love or whatever he felt. He went on and married the woman he had the son with previous to. They had a family with three kids, right? 2 boys and a girl. And my mom, she lived with grandma early on, right? My early memories are at my grandmother's house. Some of my earliest memories, I must have been 3, sitting in my grandmother's lap as she's driving the car down the road, and she did it all the time. Until one day I had the wheel, and for some reason she let go, and I immediately jerked to the right, and we scraped along a pole and scraped up all the side of the car. On the side of the car, it felt, obviously a 3-year-old feels bad about that, but I don't recall her ever letting me back in her lap after that. So, yeah, I remember, one day I'm playing with a lighter in grandma's house. I must have still been about 3 or 4, and she wasn't there, and my mom was out in the living room, and I'm in grandma's room fooling around with that lighter, and it catches fire on the chair, grandma's favorite chair. Crap. I run to the kitchen, grab a cup of water, run back in there, douse it out, and it wasn't out yet. I ran back into the kitchen, pour some water in that cup again, douse it out, and it went out. I'm like, oh crap. And I covered up the blanket, covered it up with the blanket, and walked out. My mom was like, what are you doing with all that water? Oh, I was just thirsty. Just lying. Oh, kids. Yeah, I got 2 whoopings that day, people. Yeah. Yep. Never played with fire again after that, right? This was me. And I had these little memories that I recall. I guess looking back in school, I was a little different for teachers. I was always in trouble, not in the sense that I was in like a bad kid, but they always wanted to talk to my mom, and my mom just, Mom, I'm gonna put moms on blast this episode, and just so you're aware, and I'm not gonna be disrespectful. I'm just gonna be real, right? What's really going on? So, if you get mentioned in this episode, you might get put on blast a little bit, but it's love. I promise, people, it's love. I love everybody. But mom was she was a 18, 19, 20, right, year old. Now got a couple. I mean, just think about this. It's just got this kid, this son of hers, and the dad isn't around, and she was already young, and it's rough, right? I get it, but and now he's needing to be talked to from school, and your kid's different, right? I wasn't different in the sense that I was bad or anything. I just always questioned question people.